Hello everyone, I'm Darkside Phil, and welcome to another edition of the Hateful Truth video game review series, where I give you maximum truth and minimum bullshit regarding the latest video game releases. And today, we're going to talk about a game that basically was put into a position to be one of the biggest releases of the year for a particular console, and a game that really had a massive amount of weight put on its shoulders by Microsoft. This game is a game that Microsoft is hoping is going to be the system seller for the Xbox One, the killer app per se, the reason that you're finally, after waiting all these months, ran out and bought the Xbox One console. And I really am not so sure about that. So today we're going to be talking about Titanfall on the Xbox One. Now the first thing that I want to make abundantly clear is that Titanfall is not an Xbox One exclusive. It's currently out for PC. It'll be out for the Xbox 360 in about a week and a day. I think it comes out 2 weeks after this game came out for the Xbox One. So when you say that, you say, well, why are they really planning on this being the system seller for the Xbox One? And it's funny because if you look at all the campaigning for this game, the ads on TV, and everything about it on the internet, all the hype in the magazine, it's all about, oh, Titanfall is going to be the best FPS ever. You got to get it on the Xbox One because it was optimized to be on that system, and it's going to be crazy. You got to be part of this movement. You're going to be playing this game forever. It's so amazing. And it's just like so much hype on the internet for it that it was funny because a couple weeks ago, the beta for this game was out, and people were just playing it, or I don't know if it was the demo or the beta, but people were playing it, and they're going on like Twitch TV streaming it, and it was getting tens of thousands of views per stream because people were like, this has received so much damn hype, we gotta see it for ourselves. Now I was one of the people who played that demo, and the demo had 2 maps, and I really enjoyed the demo. I thought that, wow, okay, in this game you can double jump, you can run really fast, you have cloaking, you can do parkour, which means jumping and then wall running and jumping off again. You can scale the sides of buildings to get on top of any building for sniping. And there's mech combat. You can summon down a mech. The mech's pretty cool. You get your primary weapon, you got a secondary weapon, and cooldown. You can punch other mechs. You can actually on foot jump up and board the mech and try to either destroy the mech, or if the pilot gets out, now you have a cool duel where you go hand to hand. Or you know, one-on-one firefight, and the winner either gets to destroy or, you know, drive the mech. And I really liked it, and I said, wow, you know, this is pretty an interesting concept. I wonder how this is going to pan out for the retail version of the game. Alright? Because here's the thing about Titanfall. Titanfall has only multiplayer gameplay. I'll repeat that. Titanfall is a multiplayer-only game. There is no single-player, offline, story-based campaign. It doesn't exist. These guys at Respawn Entertainment, now keep in mind, these were the guys behind Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare 1, and Modern Warfare 2. Games that, in my opinion, had some of the best first-person shooter campaigns of all time. They didn't put a campaign into the game. Now, a lot of people are going to say, oh, well, Phil, how could you even, you know, mention that in your review? Because everyone knew that this game was going to be multiplayer only from the get-go. That is true. But when I review a game, I have to compare it to all the other games that have come before it. And what I know is that these guys have put out some of the best first-person shooter campaigns ever. And so if you're going to sell a $60 retail game, that's right, it is not a discounted game because it's online only, you better well have a lot of fucking content in that game to make up for the fact that there's no campaign in the game, okay? Now, Titanfall, funny enough, does have a campaign, but it's not a real campaign. In fact, it's almost as if they put this in the game because they were really worried that if they didn't put something in the game called a campaign, that people would say, I'm not paying $60 for a game with no campaign. And so what it is an online required set of matches. It's nine matches for the IMC, which is kind of like the villains, the government, and 9 matches for the militia, who are kind of like the heroes, the rebels rebelling against this oppressive government. And you have to play through them online, and you play with other people. As you're playing them, story narrative happens. Like you might hear audio commentary or radio chatter between main characters, like the leader of the government versus the leader of the rebels. And during and beginning at the end of these matches, you'll see little cutscenes of the characters. So really what they've done, they took 9 matches of multiplayer on both sides of the coin, depending on what team you get selected for, that you have to play through, and no matter if you win or lose, you pass the campaign. So you could be the worst player on the planet, and you could lose 9 matches in a row, and you complete the campaign of Titanfall for one side. I know, right? Basically, the campaign is a joke. And it's a shame because they mandatorily make you play it in order to unlock all the mechs in the game. So it's easily the worst part of the game, and you're forced to play it. It makes no sense. To make matters worse, most of the matches are the same game type. Now, this game does have multiple game types. It's got Capture the Flag, Domination, your standard Attrition, which is Deathmatch plus a little twist, and I'll mention that in the review, and Last Man Standing. So if you have 4 game modes, why is only 2 of them? That's right. Only really 2 of them are present in the campaign. And that's the Domination and Attrition, and that's it. The other ones don't exist in the campaign. So the campaign is not a campaign. It's a joke. And the fact that they force you to play it is stupid and horrible game design. But let's skip that and we'll forgive it because we know that the focus of the game supposedly is multiplayer. So let's, at its core, talk about what the game is about, multiplayer. Titanfall has 15 maps. That's just a big statement right there. And the reason that's a big statement is because for $60, do you feel that 15 maps is enough to warrant your purchase? Do you feel that each map in Titanfall is worth $4? Okay? That's going to be your call to make. Because a lot of people might say, well, no, I don't think so. Now keep in mind there have been other FPS games out there that don't have 15 maps at launch, but those games also have a campaign. This game does not. And that's what you have to factor into this decision. Okay? So, 15 maps and 4 game modes, which I've already mentioned. Problem number 1. Did you notice that when I mentioned the game modes, Capture the Flag, Domination, Last Man Standing, and Attrition, 3 out of the 4 even have the same name of the standard FPS game types that you've always played. So 3 of the 4 game types are plain vanilla what you've played in other FPS games before, except that instead of just running and gunning like Call of Duty, now you can do parkour and you have a mech that you can summon. Okay? And so, again, you maybe say, I don't care, I like those game types, fine. But if you're looking for originality here, there's not a lot of it. And that's one of my major points in this review. There's not a lot of originality in this game. A lot of the things that you do as you play this game, you say, I feel like I'm playing a different game. I feel like I'm playing Call of Duty right now, or I feel like I'm playing Hawkin right now when I'm in the mech, or Mech Warrior, or whatever. You feel like you're playing a mishmash of other game types that were put together, but they don't really feel like they're fluid, and they don't really feel like they're definitely any kind of a whole. Let's put it that way. The one game type that does have some originality is called Attrition. Now, Attrition is deathmatch, right? You get lots of points for destroying mechs and lots of points for destroying enemy pilots, but you also get points for killing the AI. Now, this is where I have to say where the game is different from other FPS games, but I don't know if it's necessarily for the better. Titanfall is only 6-on-6 gameplay. I'm going to say that again. Titanfall is only 6-on-6 gameplay. There's only 12 players in a multiplayer match, and this was a huge source of controversy a few weeks back when this was leaked. People were like, really? It's supposed to be like a system seller, the next-gen FPS game, and it only has 12 players? Then it was announced, especially when the beta and the demo came out, it's because there's a bunch of AI-controlled characters in the game. Now, you're not going to have AI-controlled, real fighters with mechs. No. It's little ground troops, and you got little grunts, which are probably the worst shots on the planet. You'll barely ever take damage from them. They just stand there and stare at you, as you shoot them. And there's ones called Spectres, which are guys who have, like, camo, and they have more body armor, and it takes more shots to kill them. But again, even then, they're not much of a threat, and they barely ever kill you. But they're there simply to be point generators for this Attrition mode. As you're playing this mode, your goal is twofold. To get kills on the human opponents, but also to get kills on the AI-controlled opponents, because if you kill multiple ones in a row, you get bonus points for your team. Attrition isn't just a kill-death ratio, it's points accumulated total. So whatever team wins a certain point threshold, they're the ones that win the match, not necessarily one team got 50 kills and one got 47, so you hit the 50 kill limit, okay? Excuse me. But in reality, do you really want to spend an entire match running around the map killing AI-controlled opponents that suck? And the answer is no. And in fact, when you kill these guys, it feels empty because they don't put up a fight. They just stand there and get mowed the fuck down. A lot of the times it's annoying because you can't tell who the human-controlled guys are and who the grunts are. So, oh god, there's a guy, shoot him. Oh fuck, it was a grunt, so you really only got 1 point instead of the 50 you would have got or whatever if you killed a human-controlled opponent. And it's frustrating because if you've played FPS games before, your eyes kind of shoot around the screen looking for other people to kill. And if you just kill everything, you're going to end up using a ton of ammo. You're going to end up, oh god, now I have no ammo. And now the human shows up and now you die because you just shot 40 grunts and not the human who can actually kill you. And it's just weird. It doesn't seem like it's anything that adds to the game. In fact, it to me seems like more of a distraction to have all these stupid little AI-controlled dudes in the game. It's really annoying. So let me describe a match of Titanfall for you, and then I'm going to tell you why I think it doesn't live up to the hype, alright? You get airdropped into a match. Depending on what match type you're playing, sometimes you'll start in a mech, sometimes you'll be on the ground, a ground troop, and you have to get a certain amount of kills, or I don't believe it's actually based off of kills, let me take that back. It's based off of a timer. You have a timer of like 2 to 3 minutes. Once that expires, then you can either summon your Titan and get inside of it, or if you die, you can just drop in already in your Titan, okay? So, as you're playing, you're going to immediately notice the game looks incredibly reminiscent of Call of Duty, okay? On the Xbox One, it does run at 60 frames per second sometimes. It does chop up a lot if there's a lot going on. So if you're in a mech and you're fighting another mech in front of you, don't be surprised if the frame rate drops to 30 frames per second or lower in certain cases. Sometimes when a mech blows up, that's it. Your whole game just chops up until the mech is gone, and then it'll like kind of refresh, and then you'll be able to see again. There's a lot of screen tearing in this game. And playing on the Xbox One is supposed to be the next-gen version, the system seller. I don't want to see screen tearing in my game, I'm sorry. Now, I know that these next-gen titles, in fact, I just played Thief on PS4, and that also had the same issue. I understand that, but what I'm saying is, if you're going to tout this as the game to buy the Xbox One for, it better be the best running game on Xbox One, and it's not, okay? And I'll explain why in a minute, but we'll get to that. So, when you're on the ground, you're running around, you're going to immediately notice it looks like Call of Duty. However, you're going to notice some differences. Oh, I can run faster than Call of Duty. I have a cloak that I could turn on at any time, and of course it has a cooldown. You can't have it on the whole time. I could scale the side of a building by just repeatedly jumping. It's like the guy crawls the building like Spider-Man. Or you could jump and do wall runs, similar to, say, Mirror's Edge, and then double jump off of those wall runs. So you're incredibly agile in this game. You don't feel like you're playing Call of Duty because all of a sudden you immediately realize you have a lot of unprecedented freedom. But that doesn't necessarily make it a good game just because you can free run everywhere. In fact, like I said, a lot of the times you're free running and you have a hard time finding a human opponent. Because keep in mind, it's only 6 on 6. So sometimes it can be hard to find someone. You just end up killing AI the whole match, which is boring as fuck. So you're doing this, you're parkouring, you're wall running, you're doing all kinds of zany stuff until finally you get your Titan. And you'll either airdrop it in or you will, come down in it. And the Titan is kind of fun the first few times you use it. You either have a Gatling gun or kind of a sniper rifle or a shotgun. You have a alternate fire, which is either like rapid fire missiles or one big missile. You have shields. Once the shields run out, obviously now you're down to your health. You got to try to take cover until your shields recover. You have the ability to catch bullets with your a shield that you can put out in front of you, and you can toss it back at your opponent, which is pretty neat. If your opponent's shooting you, you catch all the bullets, you throw them back, he catches them, he throws them back, boom, now you get destroyed. And I actually did that a couple times where I insta-killed a mech because we caught each other's ammo like 2 or 3 times, and I threw it back, and it just blew the fuck up and killed the dude instantly, which is quite sweet. Once your mech, or you do enough damage to an enemy mech, either or, if your mech takes enough damage, you go into what's called a doomed mode, which means your mech is imminently going to die. It's going to blow up. Now you have a choice here. You can either stay in the mech and try to fight it out and tough it out, or you can eject. And if you eject from the mech, you immediately go stealth mode, so you're invisible, and you fly way up into the air, and now you can do a few things. You can either try to escape, you can maybe try to get a cool vantage point on top of a building to snipe other enemies, or you can try to land on the other enemy mech. And I have to say, the one really unique thing about the game is the rodeoing of enemy mechs. So you can at any point double jump onto a mech, you'll grab the chassis, you'll pull out this power core, and you can either shoot the power core repeatedly to try to blow the mech up, which does tons of damage, Or you could decide to get off, and the reason you might want to get off is because it tells the mech driver when you're on it, and most mech drivers will get out and try to manually fight or shoot you to get you off of there, okay? So what then happens is that you probably will jump off the mech and you end up in a one-on-one duel with the mech pilot. The mech pilot wins, he's happy, he gets back inside of his mech, and it's, you know, carry on. If you kill him now, wow, what a unique opportunity. No one's going to stop you. Jump on the mech, blow it up, and you get tons of points, okay? The only other unique thing I can tell you about this game is there is a pistol that's called the auto-lock pistol that you don't have to aim at all. As long as you pass it over your opponent, it automatically locks, and you can just be aiming up here and pull the trigger, and all the bullets will go and hit your opponent. But really, I mean, will it factor into the game? Probably in the long term. But at the initial stages, you're using your heavy machine guns, you're using your better weapons, and you really don't even try to use it that much. As the game advances, maybe it'll have a better use, but for me, I really just liked using the regular weapons, the standard weapons. You've got your grenades. Later on, you'll unlock stun grenades. Yes, later on, you'll have the ability not to choose just the basic classes, but to make your own custom class. And there are unlockables, but the major thing here is that most of the unlockables get unlocked within several levels, and then there's nothing else. And what the real major problem with this game is, in my opinion, is that it's the kind of game that if you get hooked on an FPS, if you're the kind of person that when you buy Call of Duty every year, you play Call of Duty from launch day until the day before the next Call of Duty comes out, this might be your kind of game. But if you're not that kind of person, if you're not that into first-person shooter gameplay, and you were looking for a game that maybe had something unique and different, and it really feels fun, and, you know, wow, this is a great gameplay experience, and I want to continuously play it, you're probably not going to get it out of Titanfall. And the reason I say that is this. Full disclosure, I played the game for 4 hours, the retail game. Keep in mind, I did play the demo for a couple hours too, and the retail game for 4 hours. Within that time, I feel about 3 hours and 45 minutes, I was doing the same fucking thing. You start running and gunning. Oh, you're going to do some parkour, try to sneak up on people with stealth. Oh, here goes my Titan, jump into Titan. Now you've got Titan duels. Okay, oh, Titan's gone. Okay, run around. And it feels like you're doing the same exact gameplay over and over and over because you are. Unlike other FPS games, for example, Battlefield 4. Battlefield 4 on Next Gen was unique because you had 64 players on a console for the first time ever, creating unique situations in firefights you've never seen before. You had a wide variety of vehicles that you could drive, which would make, wow, I could fly a plane, I could drive a Jeep, I could have a tank, and it's all varied gameplay that makes the game incredibly diverse. There were interactive things that blew up buildings you could knock down and shit. There was a ton of interactive stuff in Battlefield 4. That felt, to me, like a step forward for the first-person shooter genre. This feels like they had an idea that they didn't finish. It really does. It feels like they had a cool idea. Well, we want mechs, we want to combine them with first-person shooters, but they got stopped or cut off at one point. Like, why is it that within a few hours of gameplay you can unlock a ton of the stuff in the game, almost all of it, you know? And the other thing that people have been saying is the game has no competition factor to it at all because there's no leaderboards. So you can't tell who's the best, who's the best clan, who's the best player, who has the best kill-death ratio. None of that exists. It's not being tracked, and there's nowhere you can track it. So literally when you play this game, you're just playing it to jump online and have fun. No competition at all, right? So really, at its core, where you really, if you want to have an addictive FPS game, you need that competitive factor. The game doesn't even have that. So the bottom line for me is this. Titanfall is the kind of game that I could play for maybe 90 minutes. I say, okay, now I'm bored because I've been doing the same thing for 90 minutes, and I put it down, and I don't play it again for a few days, and maybe I get bored, I pop it in, and I play it again. This isn't the kind of game that's a system seller. You must play this non-stop for weeks on end, and you've absolutely got to buy it if you own the console because it's such a groundbreaking experience. It's so different from anything else. It's not. In fact, here's what I can tell you this game is. It's a combination of any mech combat game, but I would more recently say Hawken, because it's the most recent one, combined with Unreal Tournament. The problem being, Unreal Tournament was a better game than Titanfall. Unreal Tournament had a wide variety of weapons. Maps that felt dramatically different from each other. Hidden cool items and power-ups and secrets, and it was a lot of fun because every time you played, you could have a varied or different experience. This game, once you play it for a few hours and you play it on every map, you feel like you've done it all, you unlock things incredibly quickly, and you're not going to have any kind of hook or replayability again unless you're the kind of player that I love my duties, you know, and I love my first-person shooter games, and I buy them on launch day, and I play it every day after until the end of the year. If that's the kind of gamer you are, you'll love it. But that's not a mainstream audience, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like, Call of Duty is Call of Duty. Call of Duty now is, you know, there's no common person that plays it. It's more like it has its own huge dedicated fan base, and no matter what they put into a game every year, someone's going to buy Call of Duty. Okay, Titanfall's a new gamut, a new gamble, and really this was their chance to establish themselves as a franchise and say, listen, we really want to jump into the first-person shooter competitive ring, and here's how we're unique and we're different from those other guys. And really, the only thing I can tell you that they're unique is that they have mechs combined with parkour and first-person shooter. So basically they take a couple of things from other genres and slap it together, and here's Titanfall. That's not unique or fun to me. That's just my personal opinion. I played this game for about 90 minutes and I fucking start falling asleep. That literally happened to me yesterday. I played the game for 90 minutes, or actually I take it back, it was 2 days ago, and I started to like, my eyes were like, I wasn't hooked. I'm not impressed. And I think that they could have done a better job, especially, again, these are the guys between Call of Duty 4 and Modern Warfare 2. Those games had a better upgrade unlock system over time. Those games had excellent campaigns that were paired in with the competitive multiplayer, and it had competition because it had world leaderboards and things like that. All these things are lacking from Titanfall. So tell me, how is this a $60 system seller? And the thing that really gets me now is Microsoft is so convinced that this game is a system seller, they're packaging it in with the Xbox One for free. So people like me who bought the Xbox One in November basically got screwed because we all had to buy this game. Anyone who buys an Xbox One now gets this for free. It's, you know, $500 for the console and this game. But I don't think that's even a big deal. I don't think this is a reason to buy the console. I could see this as a game that on the side, okay, I bought the console for this game, and this game, and this is a fun game that I play from time to time with my friends. We jump into a six-man party, and we jump online, and we dick around, and we have fun, but there's no leaderboard, so there's no real competitive aspect, so we don't care, and so, you know, it is what it is. We just have fun with it every once in a while. This is not a system seller. Microsoft, you're idiots if you think this is a system seller. It's not. And I said this week, and I'm going to say it again, because the last thing I absolutely hate is review scores on Metacritic and who's playing what. So, oh my god, so review scores on Metacritic, there's a bunch of people who rated this game a 9 and a 10 out of 10. I shit you not. People are saying that a $60 game with no campaign, only 15 maps, and every time you play it, it feels this fucking same, is 10 out of 10. Those people are fucking fanboys who are so hooked on the first-person shooter genre, they can't realize that there's an immense lack of value in this game as a $60 release, okay? But Metacritic says it, right? Metacritic says it's like an 8 or 9, so it must be good. And the other thing that gets me, my god, I'm watching this popular YouTuber or this popular streamer, and this is, Titanfall's all they played this week. And every time they play, it's like they're orgasming in their pants because they're saying it's the best game they've ever played, and it's so good. It's time to wise up, alright? There are people out there who play games for fun, and there are people out there who play games for money. There's a certain number of people right now who are playing this game because Microsoft contacted them and said, if you play this game all week, we'll give you a CPM boost on your videos on YouTube, and if you stream it, we'll give you a certain amount of money if you stream it all week, and this is all you stream to help promote our game. I would find it few and far between people who say, I'm going to play Titanfall for a week straight, because the game would become incredibly boring if this is all you played for a week straight. That's my opinion on Titanfall. So really, what I have to do when I review this game now is that I have to be fair and honest. I have to judge it against other games that I played recently, okay? And I really have to say this game does not innovate at all. There's nothing that I've done in Titanfall that I can say I've never done in another first-person shooter before. All it does is take conventions from other games and slap them together. For a next-gen game, the graphics have issues. There's screen tearing, there's, as I said, frame rate drops. This is the next gen, this is the system seller, you shouldn't have that, okay? There's no campaign at all. It's incredibly repetitive and boring. After you play it for an hour and a half to 2 hours, you're going to get bored. Unless you're, again, like I said, there may be a social aspect where you team up with 5 of your friends, maybe you'll add a little bit more to it. If you're not doing that, who the hell would want to play this game? Titanfall, in my opinion, is the perfect example of an overhyped, over-marketed, over-exaggerated game that people are trying to push down your throat and say, buy a console for this. This is a skip. This game, you are missing nothing. If you never play Titanfall on the Xbox One, the PC, or the Xbox 360, you've missed nothing. Now compare that again to Battlefield 4 with its destructible environment, 64-player multiplayer, and a variety of vehicles and amazing graphics. That's a game you missed out on if you didn't play it. This one you could fucking sleep through and you're not going to care. That's my point that I'm trying to make in this review. This is not a groundbreaking game, a must-buy game by any means. Is it fun? Sure, it could be fun if you're addicted to first-person shooter combat. If you're not that kind of person, you don't have to buy this game. You can save your money for a real system seller. So all things considered, okay, if you're a first-person shooter junkie, you're probably going to love Titanfall. If you're the kind of person that you went and bought Call of Duty every year and you never played the campaign because all you do is you fly online and you play multiplayer nonstop for a year, Titanfall could be an 8 or a 9 out of 10. I'm not going to say because I'm not one of those people, but I could see those people. If you're so, oh my god, there's double jumps, I could parkour, I could go invisible, this is so cool. Yeah, because you probably never played on Real Tournament. All you ever played was Call of Duty, so you think you're doing this shit for the first time when the rest of us have been doing this stuff for the greater part of a decade, if not longer than that. Okay? It's nothing revolutionary. Oh, I could drive a mech? Yeah, I did that 15 years ago. So, for someone who's been around the block, you're not going to think this. But if you're a fanboy of FPS and all you do is play Call of Duty, you'll probably think this is an 8 or a 9, which is probably why some of these mainstream media outlets had their, oh, the guy who reviews the Call of Duty game gives it a 9 every year, have him review Titanfall. 9 out of 10. No shit. But for a common gamer, this game is nowhere near that good. In fact, I'm going to say this game is barely above average because you don't have the full gameplay experience that you get with any other first-person shooter. Even if they have a shitty campaign, it has a campaign. Even if there was it wasn't exactly a multiplayer that hooked you for a year, there was innovation in some kind of innovation in the multiplayer. This game has none of that. So I'm going to call a spade, and people are going to be pissed, and people are going to be hissy, rip their shirts off, and get all pissed. Oh, Darkseid Phil, how dare he take this game that is the best FPS game ever? No, it's not. It's it's very far from the best FPS game ever. From a gamer's perspective, who's not an FPS fanboy, it's not even a very good game. I give Titanfall on the Xbox One. That's right. I give it a 6.75 out of 10. I'm not saying it's awful. No. But I'm saying it's quite literally a skip. If you don't love first-person shooters and get addicted to them and play them, forget it. Seriously. And just move on, save your $60 until Microsoft finally gets a real system seller for the Xbox One. If you were thinking of buying an Xbox One for this game, fuck no. Because here's what I can tell you right now. Now, I don't know, because I haven't played it yet, but Infamous Second Son comes out next week. I mean, you played Infamous 1 and 2, right? They were amazing games. This one's probably going to be on par. Why would you rush out and buy another console to play a repetitive, multiplayer-only game where you're going to get a game with cool characters, a great story, great graphics, amazing narrative, collectibles, replayability, you know what I mean? And you know that's right around the corner. Why would you rush out and buy this? I don't get it. You know? And the bottom line is this, and I shit you not, I'm not exaggerating at all, and I'm not trying to over-dramatize this review. I'm probably trading in Titanfall this week to pick up Metal Gear Solid 5 and then later in the week Infamous Second Son. Because I don't want to play this anymore. I played it twice. I'm bored already. I've seen all the maps. And every time I play it, I want to fall asleep. So Titanfall is a snooze. It really is. It's a skip. I say don't get it. And definitely, by God, do not buy an Xbox One just for that game, because you're basically wasting your own money. Wait for a real reason to buy the Xbox One, which hopefully will be coming out later this year. Maybe there'll be a Halo, Gears of War, whatever it is, whatever Microsoft only franchise it ends up being. This ain't it. Skip this fucker. All right. Thanks for watching the Hateful Truth review. I hope that you found it was maximum truth and minimum bullshit. Regardless of the fact that I may not agree with the mainstream, because guess what? No one sent me this to say anything. And that's it. Thanks, and I'll see you next time on another edition of the Hateful Truth Game Review Series. Peace out.